And welcome once again to Community Viewpoint. I'm John Pollock, your host for the evening. And once again, we have ML Robinson with us from UNCE Cooperative Extension, University of Nevada Cooperative Extension, out of Las Vegas. But you come out here on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
And enlighten us with some of the information that you have, whether it be scorpions, whether it be tarantulas, whether it be snakes. And tonight,
next time.
Yes. And tonight, what are we going to be doing?
We're going to do fun things from the produce aisle. And you know, it's summer, it's hot, we don't necessarily want to be out in the garden. Our children are home and maybe driving us nuts. And we can do some gardening and fun things that you can find in your produce aisle, and especially at Asian stores. There's a lot of fun things at Asian stores, but even the regular grocery stores, we can find a lot of fun things.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do now, we're going to zero in on what ML brought here. I'm going to disappear for a little bit, and then we're going to have a technician come in and run the cameras. Oh, wait, that would be me.
Yes.
But anyway, it's all about...
I wanted to do that, but he wouldn't let me.
Yes. So, ML, you got a lot of stuff to work with, a lot of props, a lot of good eating things.
Absolutely.
So, take it away, ML.
All right. Let's start with the most common one. And many of us can remember our grandmothers having a sweet potato vine growing. And I have one here on the front table. They're a very beautiful vine. You can grow them outside as ground covers here. They take a little bit of extra water and you want to shade them. I find the afternoon shade on any of these plants worked well. But as you can see, this is a beautiful vine. You can use it in a basket. What our grandmothers used to do would be to poke toothpicks in this and drop it into water. And this is the tuber. This is what you eat. The bigger they are, sometimes the better. When you go to look for them, squeeze them. If somebody comes up, just say, I'm squeezing my tubers here. And you want to find one that's nice and hard and firm, no soft spots, because they do have a tendency to rot. And they have been treated so they don't sprout readily. Years ago, they were not that way, and they sprouted, and you couldn't eat them after they started sprouting and getting soft. So you may have to try this a few times. You can lay it up on your windowsill and wait, or you can plant it or stick it in water and see if it works. You just keep in mind that some may rot before you get one. Now, once it starts to grow and you have these wonderful vines, you can root those. And you can take and put your cuttings in a little pot and put a plastic bag over it in a bright window, and you can root those for your garden. All kinds of fun things to grow. Avocados, this is another traditional one that grandparents and our moms and dads might. This is a little avocado from California. There's 3 different types of avocados. There are the Mexican race or group, and they're the smaller, more cold-hardy ones. That's what we usually get here from California. When you open them up, you find this little tiny seed in there. And what you can do, you can plant this in a pot of soil with the top barely sticking out. You can tell this is a tiny seed. I'm a little prejudiced. I grew up where the more tropical avocados were grown. Let's get this over here. And the seeds were actually this size or bigger. So you can imagine how big the avocados were. They weighed several pounds. And traditionally on those really big ones, they'd take and put, again, the toothpicks in and suspend this in water in a container, and then, which would be lost in this little container or in a jar until it started to send out roots, and then a new shoot will shoot up. You can make a beautiful little house plant, a small tree out of these, and they will grow for you. Again, you want to plant them right away, keep them moist but not wet, and you'll have this wonderful little tree. Out here in Pahrump, you'd have to plant them in a protected area next to the house on the south side, and they might make it because they can be fairly cold hardy down into the teens sometimes. But I would put it in a large pot as it grows and keep it as a house plant. Once it starts to grow, you can keep it pretty bushy in the house. But again, you buy this at the store, plant this, and you'll end up with a nice little tree. This will cost you about $1, depending on where you buy them. You have the fruit. You open them up, you make a sandwich. My mother always made these marvelous once they have to be, they're always hard when you buy them, or should be. They'll soften up. You cut them open, take the seed out, peel them. They make a great sandwich. You make guacamole, but a little bit of mayonnaise, some salt and pepper and lemon on the slices up, put it up on your bread, and it makes a great sandwich just by itself. Something else that I really love, and it reminds us of the desert, that's dates. And this is what the date looks like. You buy it in the store. They're wonderful, they're sweet. I guess you shouldn't eat on camera, right? But I'm going to anyway. There's the pit. And that's where date palms come from. I dry them, as you can see here. Nice. Where are we? You
got it?
Got it? Right. Moving camera. And these are just the dry date seeds. I let them dry because I don't want them to mold. I do a lot of my palm tree germination just in a baggie like this with a little bit of peat moss. It doesn't take these, if you keep them warm, it doesn't take very long. And there you have, here's the seed. And they do a remote germination. They send out a little radical, and that's the new leaf coming. That's the new roots. And this is all ready to plant. You take a container, put some potting soil in there, cover it up with this little top sticking out. I wouldn't use this because it doesn't have drainage. But in a regular pot, make sure part of this is sticking up, and you'll start to grow a beautiful little palm tree. Now, if you're really patient and you're willing to wait, say 7, 10, 15 years, you'll actually have a date palm that will be large enough to put on dates if it's a female. Date palms are boys or girls, and of course the boys don't have fruit, but the girls do, and you need one of each, or at least one male and several females. And that's why they're vegetatively propagated by cuttings, taking the suckers off the side so that you know that you're always getting a girl and it's good fruit. So if you want, this is a commercial variety, Mahjong. It's a very good variety, a very old variety. If you want that variety, you have to buy a plant that's been vegetatively propagated. But if you just want a small little palm tree to grow in a pot or put out in the desert garden in your backyard, hey, this is the way to go. It doesn't cost much. You have a good fruit to eat that's good for you, and you have a palm tree free of charge, if you don't count that you had to buy the date. Here's a squash. This is one that doesn't do well outside, but again can be grown as a house plant. It's called chayote squash. And chayote squash is unique in that it's actually a perennial vine. What's a perennial vine? It's one that lives over a long period of time. Most squash that we grow are annuals. And you can see this one is already sprouting. This happens to be a fruit that is used as a vegetable, is put on by this vine, and pardon me, a little bit of date in my throat. And it will vine, is tropical, and the big seed, it has one big seed inside. And Hispanic grocery stores, those grocery stores that cater to Hispanics, will always have chayote. And many of the regular grocery stores also carry these. They're very good, they're fun to grow, and they grow fast. If you do any kind of Asian cooking in particular, or Hawaiian, Polynesian, you'll be familiar with ginger. Ginger is a great root. We grate it and chop it up and use it in various ways of cooking. But it's also from a plant. It's from the actual ginger plant. And so you go to the grocery store, sometimes you see them sprouting. Whenever you're looking for something like a root, it's always good in the grocery store to check and see if you can see any sprouts. That gives you a head start. Otherwise, buy one that they haven't taken the sprouts off. This is fresh. You can use it to cook with. But again, you can leave it on your counter and see if it will sprout, or place it on top of potting soil in a pot in a bright window. And pretty soon you'll have a tropical plant sprouting. It may even bloom for you with little tiny ginger flowers. And you could be growing your own ginger in your herb garden or containerized gardens. There are a lot of things that we can plant like this. Ginger isn't the only one. This is taro. It is in the elephant ear family. Again, I picked this up at a local grocery store here in Pahrump. You might look at it and go, "What? Oh, I don't know how to cook that." But that's okay. You can plant these. They'll grow into a nice little elephant ear that you can use in the border around your fish pond or just in a pot. Keep them moist. They like moisture. They're grown in very moist areas in the tropics. And again, doesn't look like much, but it'll actually sprout. You'll end up with a wonderful little elephant ear, very tropical plant for your house. I think this cost me like 30 or 40 cents for both of these. They're sold by the pound. A couple more subterranean types of plants to grow. These are scallions. We use those for cooking. Again, you can break them apart and plant them and grow your own scallions. You don't have to order them off the internet or go to buy them in a bag from where the seeds are sold in your local store. You can actually buy them from the grocery section. As long as they're firm, some of them will even be sprouting sometimes, and they smell like onions. Makes you hungry right there. Again, garlic, you can do the same thing. I was out shopping with a friend today, and she made mention, she never thought about it before, of going to the grocery store. She likes elephant garlic, which is a specialty garlic. And there it was in the produce aisle. She said, "Well, I don't have to mail order it. I can just go to my produce aisle. It's nice and hard, and buy it. And you can start it in containers or plant it right out in the garden. The leaves are good, garlic and onion for seasoning. But you can, each of these, when you break them apart, will grow and form a cluster like this. And garlic's just great. This happens to be a spicy one. If you're ever in town in Las Vegas on Saturday mornings, the Research Center on Horse and Decatur, they have all kinds of fruit trees and vegetables growing. This happens to be from that research center. I did not buy this at the grocery store, but it's what it looks like if you bought it at the grocery store. This is a spicy one. They have all kinds of garlic and onions and other things there to try. These are great. Take them, peel them, put them in a jar with olive oil in your refrigerator, and then you have this wonderful garlic olive oil to cook with or make salad dressing with. Just a little side tip. Here's a fruit that if you've lived in tropical areas, Hawaii, Florida, Central America, papaya. Now papaya gets much bigger than this, but it's a wonderful fruit. I like to have it for breakfast with cottage cheese. Scoop out the seeds. What are you going to do with the seeds? Well, you can use the seeds as a meat tenderizer if you would like. Let's get this to the camera. They're just these little tiny black things. I'm drying these off. And they will germinate for you. And what you'll get, this is a young one. You get a little tropical tree. It's an herb, actually. It will grow several feet tall. You can keep it in a container. You might even be able to produce them. Now remember, anything you grow from seed is not necessarily going to produce the same plant in the quality that you get. The papaya may not be of this quality, even if you were in a tropical area. But that's okay. You're just growing a fun tropical tree with your kids. So that's papaya. You get a good fruit. Rather than throwing the seeds away, dry them, plant them with your kids, and grow a few little tropical trees for your windowsill. Or if you have a greenhouse, you can actually, the chayote, the papaya, the avocado, We didn't even talk about the mango. The mango has this wonderful kind of fuzzy seed on the inside that sometimes when you open these up, they're actually already sprouting. Any of these tropical or subtropical, if you have a little greenhouse, you can grow them in pahrump very nicely. Now, the pineapple, we're all familiar with the pineapple. Did you know that the pineapple is actually a bromeliad? So if you go to your garden center and you see all these beautiful bromeliads in bloom or with their colored leaves, and you go, wow, those are beautiful tropical plants, aren't they? Well, the pineapple is, and many people think the pineapple came from Hawaii. It didn't. It came from Central and South America, and it was imported into Hawaii. Hawaii happened to be a great place for it to grow, and so we always think of Hawaii when we think of pineapples, and most of our pineapples come from Hawaii, which is good because we should support Hawaii. What we need to do if we're going to grow a pineapple is, if I had the pineapple here, you don't cut the top off, you just twist it, and it will pop right off just like here. And then what you want to do, make a mess here, you want to peel off the bottom leaves, and these have already turned brown because this guy is been sitting around waiting for the TV show. But I want to peel that off, and sometimes when you peel it off, there'll actually be little white roots already starting to form there. And once you have a little bit of a trunk, and if I don't know if we can see this on camera, but there are some little bumps right there, and those will form roots. Make sure this is dry at the end. You just plant it in the soil, not too deep, just up to where the leaves start. This one, a friend of mine started. I said, oh, don't throw your pineapple tops out. Let's grow them. And so he did, and then he gave them all to me. So he was tired of them. But see, the little cut leaves here, that was the ones that were on the pineapple head when it was still attached. And these are all the new leaves. And already you're starting to see it looks like a little bromeliad. Now, you might be able to grow a pineapple on this after a few years. If you keep it in a pot, keep moving it up into a bigger pot, people can. I'm not going to guarantee that, but you have a beautiful house plant. And until it blooms and puts the pineapple on, it will live for you. Bromeliads, after they bloom, and this is true of all bromeliads, once they bloom, this plant will die and new ones will form. One thing I learned that was kind of interesting is that one of the pineapples that he rooted for me had the center taken out. Sometimes they take the centers out. I'm not sure why, but they do. And maybe so you can't grow them. But that particular one I noticed the other day is putting a baby up here on the side. And so the center was taken out and it's still trying to live. But what a nice little plant. This will end up having to be in a big pot like the sweet potatoes in. And you'll have this beautiful green tropical plant that will last for years. My grandmother always told the story in New York about how she had one, she was growing it, it got thrown out onto a pile of trash or soil or something. There were enough rain there, being back east in New York, that it took root in this pile. And fall came along and it started to cool off, and she went out and it had gotten really big, and she potted it up, brought it in, and eventually had a pineapple. So you can do that. No guarantee on that, but you can do that. And we've got about 14 different things we've gone through. You might not think of saving the seeds from lemons and limes, but you can save those and grow a little citrus tree as well. And with citrus, that will come true many times. Two last things that we have here before we go into some other things. We have the lemongrass, which you keep seeing in front of me there in the brown pot. I actually got that at an Asian store, and you go in and they sell lemongrass for cooking, and it's just these little stalks. Get the ones that look the freshest, and you can. Some people root them in water. I don't like rooting in water. I'm afraid it's going to rot if you don't change the water daily. And I just root them in soil, and that whole pot of lemongrass, it needs to be planted out, but I've been saving it for classes, came from stems that I bought for like 3 stems for $1 at Asian grocery store. One of my students that I had last spring, he said, "Oh, I have these wonderful Japanese lilies." And I said, "Where'd you get them?" He said, "At the Asian grocery store." And it doesn't look like much right now. This is the first year, but they actually sell the lily bulb, and an onion is also related to, it's a true bulb. But this looks like any other lily bulb when you buy it in a package, and they cook with it. And this one in my grow chamber under grow lights actually came up and bloomed the first year. His out in the garden took several years, and they're putting on little babies down here. And I didn't think this one would grow because, again, they killed the center of it. But who would have thought that you can buy a beautiful orange lily? And his have actually grown out in his yard in Las Vegas. And out here where it gets a little colder, our climate's a little more temperate, they should do even better. And they're from Japan, so it gets cold where they're from. And lilies from the grocery store. Who would have thought? So here's about 14 different types of plants, and use your imagination when you go shopping, and that you can grow. Have fun with your kids this summer, growing wonderful and interesting plants that maybe you never thought about growing before with the kids, and take them around the world. You can grow Japanese and Hawaiian and South American and Mexican and Asian, all kinds of wonderful plants.
So, I'd like to thank our wonderful technician, Jeff, the job he's done tonight, and our camera person there. You got lots more to talk about, too.
Yeah.
A lot of things happening with the Cooperative Extension in town, which is at Dandelion and Calvada. Debbie Woodland runs that program now, the 4-H she has up there, other things.
Right. She does the Master Gardeners, and then Sue does a lot of stuff, and then
Susan
Pam.
Moore?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Pam does the 4-H. So the three of them are quite busy.
No, definitely.
And we do have some more programs coming up.
And we had talked about earlier on the news the Thursday with Thea, and we had the JPEG. There you go. That's a color poster for that. The Master Gardeners on Thursdays from 6:30 to 8 at the demonstration garden at the Cooperative Extension. Thea will cover all your vegetable gardening questions, learn valuable gardening tips, and her fresh produce will be available for sale from the garden.
I was just in that garden. I have to tell you, I am totally amazed. She said, "Well, any helpful hints on what to do better?" And I said, "I can't think of anything." She has wonderful tomatoes and eggplants and peppers and onions and squash, and she's just doing a wonderful job. A lot raised beds and a lot of good information just to observe and see what you can grow there.
So it's good to just check it out and see what she's got, and that's going to be the 14th and the 28th. And once again, that phone number is 727-5532.
And we still, speaking of Master Gardeners, we still have room for the classes that will begin September 12th. They're daytime classes, and we're adding something new this year. We're doing a lab, so it will be compressed video for the lecture time, and then each area, and there are 4 different areas of the Southern Nevada that will be doing the training. Debbie will take you out here, and there will be some type of lab, hands-on lab, and we've not had that before, so we're going to try that this year.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So there is a fee for that to recover cost, and but we still have plenty of room, and sign up as soon as you can.
Yeah, please do that. Some of the other things that are going on too.
Yeah, we have some geriatric lectures. I hate to bring this up. Don't want to feel that way. My wife gets mad at me because I say, "Oh, that old person," and my wife will go, "I think he's younger than you." but anyway, those of us who are between, a lot of us have kids as well as parents that we're having to take care of. And so this is open to the public. It's for caregivers with senior citizens and those that need help due to age. But it's also open to the public if you have a parent or or relative or other relative or friend that you're participating in helping. There are a lot of different ones. The first one's going to be on safe driving for older adults. My wife will probably want me to take that, or at least my teenagers will. But there will be other things, subjects that will be valid for that. And that's an ongoing thing by compressed video. And the last one, which has become very popular, and you have to sign up early. Who would have thought we've come full circle? So many people in Extension have the last few years that we're all new Extension, and we're getting away from the old stuff. But one of the things that Bob Morris, who just retired in Las Vegas, started was preservation of foods, canning and drying and all of this. And this is becoming very popular, especially with economics and food storage. Many cultural groups, I belong to one that does a lot of food storing and whatnot. And so Bob started bringing in University of Utah, or Utah State, I'm sorry. any of you Aggies out there, I'm sorry, who teach this, and Debbie has gotten certified. She took the classes. And so they are working on teaching this. It's been very popular. Again, there's a small fee for this. The first one in July 8th was dehydrating, and she was really surprised at the turnout on that. The next one is Let's Salsa, S-A-L-S-A, and it's not dancing. What to do with all those tomatoes. That has filled up, but if you're interested in either dehydration or making salsa, call and let them know. They want to know about what topics you want. Do you want the same topics repeated because you didn't get to go? And then the next two, July 22nd is Under Pressure, that's pressure canning. And then August, pickles and jam. They don't really go together that well to eat, I don't think, but they're making them together.
And with that, we've just about run out of time. And if you were entertained tonight, come over to the town board meeting tomorrow night for real entertainment at 7 o'clock. Thank you as always, ML.
Thank
It's
you.
been wonderful. We repeat 6:30 at Sunday morning. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, ML. Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Good night, folks.